In this video, let's take a look at how to record some MIDI to an instrument track. On the MIDI track, just make sure that it's record armed and the monitor's enabled so that you can hear it. Now I'm ready to go in and record some MIDI onto this drum track. And I've also just set up the left and right locators so that it records the MIDI within this area. Let's try this out. Cool, that's my drum idea. It's a bit rough, but you get the idea. So if I double click this MIDI region over here, it brings up the MIDI editor. And I'm just going to bring this up and zoom in so that you can see the notes. And you can see that when I zoom up, some of the notes were a bit rushed and falling off the grid. So what I want to do is quantize these notes so it tightens up the performance. So I'm going to select all the MIDI notes here, and then I'm going to quantize them with the value of a 16th note. And see how it shifts the notes onto the grid, just tightening everything up. But not everything's quite right. You can see some notes have shifted to different positions. For example, this guy should probably be over here. So I'm just going to take a quick squiz through and just see what needs to be moved around. So far, it looks okay. And I think this is going to be a bit of a problem over here. And these guys here. But so far, it's looking a lot tighter than my actual performance. But let me rather play back the track and edit as I go by moving the notes to the correct position. That one's also early. Let me move it over here. This one also. Just move it to the right. So even though that you quantize, some notes do get moved off into the incorrect location. And that over there. Just bear with me while I move these around. So even though that you quantize, there's still going to be some editing that you need to do afterwards. So I'm just using the arrow tool to move these MIDI notes around. Also, these snares are slightly early. Just scrolling along and moving these guys. I must have been just a bit excited, so these notes were a bit early. And that over there. So with this part over here, I wasn't able to play in the kick and the snare when I recorded it in. So I'm just going to copy a kick across onto the quarter notes. So I'm just holding down Command on the Mac, it'll be Control on the PC, to copy this kick across. And there's also a velocity lane over here. I can bring this up. So you can see here, this is the snare. And if I hit it with different sort of pressure amounts on the keyboard, it triggers different velocity samples. So what I can do is edit these velocities. I can select these and maybe drag them down. And these differing velocities will just give some more realism to the drums. Let's just increase these a little bit more. A bit too much, that should be it. And let's add a kick here as well. Let's see how that feels. And this is just going to go here. Yeah, that's sounding pretty cool. So you can see I've got the same tools up over here in the editor. I've got the arrow tool, I've got the split tool, and then this is the paint tool. It's quite interesting. So in the editor, I can just paint in a note. But what's pretty cool is to use the different shapes for the paint tool and edit the velocities. So I'm going to first select the MIDI notes that I want to edit and then jump back to the line tool. And I can draw in some line shapes over here for the velocities, creating a sort of crescendo effect on it. And also there's the erase tool, so I can go in and erase some MIDI notes. Cool, I'm pretty happy with that part. So I've just recorded in the kick and snare. Now I want to go in and record some hi-hats. So let me just rename this track. I'm going to double click this and call it kick and snare. I can also go in and right click and rename the region. So this will also be kick and snare. Now for the hats, I want to duplicate this track. So I'm going to right click on it and choose duplicate track. And now it's created a new track. It's got the drums on it, so I can play my hats over here. But it's still going to the same instrument. So if I drop this volume level down, you can see it's dropping it on both MIDI tracks. So it's the same instrument, it's just a new dedicated MIDI track for the hats over here. So you don't have to load up a whole new instance of this instrument. Now let's record in a snare pattern for the song. Cool, so that's sort of the rough idea I've got for the hats. I had a sort of closed hats pattern over here. I dropped the hats out over here because there's this sort of snare fill and you wouldn't be able to play it at the same time. And then for the next section, I went into an open hats pattern. Now I can go in, I can select them all and press Q to quantize them. And hopefully that's improved the timing a bit better. So that's how to record MIDI onto an instrument track, and then how to edit the note data, quantize the notes so you get a better timing, and then also how to edit the velocities. Next, I want to record a bass part, and I'm also going to use a bass emulator and record it in through MIDI.